Mhm.
There are going to be times when you're going to have to step out. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys that are introverts. You're not going to be able to sit on your hands and just be quiet. You will have to have those times where you get out of your comfort zone and talk to people that you don't know.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Inga Faison-Cavitt, also known as Inga Faye, is an authenticity strategist who transitioned from a career in engineering to pursue her entrepreneurial dreams. She focuses on living a life full of faith, family, freedom, flexibility, and fitness. Inga is dedicated to empowering women to achieve their best lives and assist them in becoming top earners through authentic lead generation and sales strategies that prioritize genuine human connections over numbers. You can learn from Inga the importance of authentic sales and the value of building real connections with clients. This approach not only fosters trust, but also leads to more meaningful and lasting business relationships. So Inga, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me, Candy.
I'm looking forward to our conversation. But before I get into questions I have for you on the topic today, I would love for you just to share your journey from engineering to becoming an authenticity strategist and how this transition has impacted your approach to business.
Yeah, so I am a mechanical engineer by training. I did that for over 20 years inside of chemical plants. Right before COVID, I got laid off and decided to take the leap of faith to do entrepreneurship full time. At that time, I was pursuing my direct sales business that I thought I was going to do to replace my corporate income. And during COVID, like many other folks during COVID, I just saw the opportunity to pivot and really to be able to serve women more than just in a beauty capacity, but also in a mindset capacity. So I started my coaching business at that time as well. And my goal was really just to help people have more of a growth mindset and look at this opportunity, I'll say, of COVID as a time to pivot and to learn something new and to just really reinvent themselves at that time. So that's really what it came about. I had been in my direct sales business prior to that for about 15, 16 years, and just really wanted to just help more women out of beauty products that I was currently selling.
Perfect. Well, I always love to hear how people got into it, and some knew from the time they were little they were going to be entrepreneurs, and some of us, like I say, accidental entrepreneur sometimes, right? It wasn't necessarily planned, but life presented an opportunity, or we found the opportunity. And so I always find it interesting just to hear how people got into what they're doing now. But I would love for you maybe just to talk about what are the core principles of your authentic lead generation and sales strategies and how they differ from traditional sales techniques.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I want to treat people as humans and not numbers. That's the first thing that I would say is how they differ, because I really want to build that connection with the person. I want the person to feel like I care about them, that I'm not just trying to sell them a product or service, that I am genuinely interested in them, that I see them, that I hear them, that I understand possibly what they're going through and empathize with them, and are going to come up with creative solutions to help them get to what I call their proposed promised land, whatever that may be. And in addition to that, I also want to ask them about the things that they're concerned about instead of assume that whatever I'm trying to sell is right for them. I think sometimes people get really caught up in the sales process and they're very salesy and they're all about selling the product and not really hearing the person out to really understand what is needed. I also want to assist them versus annoy them. And with
Okay.
that said, I want to give them time to decide if I am the person that's going to take them to their proposed promised land, that they really truly have a time to marinate on their decision and then, get to know me, not just buy from me, get to know me as a person, because trust is the new commodity these days. But yeah, and in addition to that, I also want to be able to attract them to me, that the energy aligns with them, that they know that I have this authentic energy, that I genuinely want to help them, and that I'm not annoying them to buy today instead of tomorrow, or ever how long it takes them to decide if what I'm doing or what I provide for them is the right thing for them. So those are the things that I really think are important when it comes to having authentic sales with your clients and prospects, for sure.
Well, that trust is definitely important. And, I've had situations before too where, someone doesn't even really know about me. They just met me somewhere and then they're trying to sell their product and they haven't even asked me yet if anything, my life is necessary for what they need, what they're selling. Right. And
Exactly.
Often it's not. And, so that's that point. I was like, well, if they're ever coming to me again, I'm probably not going to ever want to engage with them about how they're selling, because they haven't even tried to build a relationship. I don't trust anything that they're doing because it's just, like you said, very salesy, very pushy. And, that's not how we want to come across. Right. So I definitely appreciate that you shared that. In your experience, then, can you talk about some of the common pitfalls that entrepreneurs face when they are trying to build genuine connections with their clients or their prospects, and how do they avoid these issues?
Yeah, so I think the common pitfall is not having a target market or someone, knowing exactly who their ideal customer is. Many of them think that if they don't, that they believe that if they say everybody is their customer, then they won't miss out on anybody. But in actuality, when you say everybody, you're actually not reaching out or attracting no one, because no one knows who everybody is. When you say everybody, does anybody come to mind? No. So
Right.
you really want to be able to tell people who you're looking for. For instance, I help female entrepreneurs with introverted tendencies with their lead generation and sales process without the small talk. Now, when I say that like that, I'm sure many of you that are listening are, you made somebody instantaneously popped up in your head because I identified truly who I'm looking for. And that's what we want to do as well. We want to make sure that we know who we're looking for so we can figure out where they're hanging out, so we can know what YouTube channels or podcasts they're listening to also find out exactly what they're needing so we can provide products that will help them go to the next level, to know what keeps them up at night. So we can create things that are actually going to help them in the process. Not just I'm creating it, and just because I created it, now you should like it because I created it. It doesn't work that way. So that's some of the things that I've often seen with some of my clients, and even the people that I've just kind of met in networking events, in person and virtual, that are doing these days, that are hindering them from getting to where they really want to go.
Well, I think having too broad of a target is often when someone is first starting their business too, and they don't want to limit, who I serve, because, well, I don't want to prevent me from getting sales. And so I will say, and I remember a chiropractor once said, I can help anyone with a spine, right? And like you said, then that, like you said, is everybody, and you're not thinking who that might be. Where I knew another one that said he helped those who had sports injuries, or things like that. And then you could be like, oh yes, I know someone who, had this problem. And so I think it's true. There is this fear that we're going to prevent the sales if we're only targeting one certain person. But that doesn't mean that someone else couldn't come, to use our services, but at least you are speaking to that market that will identify with who you are and what you're doing, correct?
Exactly. It makes me think about an entrepreneur that I learned about on another podcast. Her name is Tara Bosch. She's the creator of Smart Sweets, is what it's called. And she started her business fairly young and was really wanting to pursue her business. So she was really scrappy in how she went after her target market. And one of the first people that she went after were folks that did Weight Watchers. Why Weight Watchers? Because They're cognizant of their weight. They want to make healthy choices. So she wanted to give them something they probably were missing out on, was something sweet. But her thing was, okay, I'm going to give you something sweet, but it's going to have less sugar than the average piece of candy that you normally eat. So it was a win-win for that group of people, because first they were able to eat something sweet, and then it was in line with what they were doing as far as their weight, and abiding by the guidelines of Weight Watchers. But that's the kind of thing we want to think about when it comes to our target market too, because then those people fell in love with her, and they became instantaneous super cheerleaders is what I call them, because they were showing everybody, telling everybody about her. And then that's when she got other people to get involved. But you got to find your sweet spot first, and then have them to rave and be dazed, glazed, and amazed about you and tell everybody about you.
Right. Well, and she identified a specific issue too, right? Where I think sometimes maybe we're too broad because we're trying to solve too many problems, but she had one thing. So what would you say then to the entrepreneur who, once again, is thinking, well, like, I need to have multiple products and services too, so that I can meet the demands of the people who need a service? You know, what do they do to really find those people who need what they want, build those authentic connections, but not trying to just get it all out there in the world?
Right. Well, I think you still need to have some kind of focus, and you got to have a value ladder where people can come in where they fit in, basically. So you may have something that's kind of a DIY thing, where you'll have it's a lower price point, kind of the same thing, but you would get some people that'll gravitate to that. Then you'll have another price point that may be a done with you, that could possibly be a group or a one-on-one coaching type of offering. But then there's going to be some price derivatives in that as well. And they can decide, okay, well, I want the DIY, I want the group. I really want the group, but I would like to have the one-on-one, but I'm really not in a place to get that. So I'm going to get the group. So it's kind of a tiered type of process where you're providing a similar service, but you have it in a tiered situation where people can decide where they fit in and what works for them best.
Well, and I know we do have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to the show. Almost everyone is, but there's also people who are in sales who probably work, these corporate positions, and they are given, some very specific numbers. You have to meet this target. You have this much to do by this deadline. So how do they maybe meet those numbers, but still present that authenticity where they do care about the people, but they are still meeting the demands that are placed on them by their company?
Right. So for those folks, it's very imperative that they connect with the folks and they're not salesy from the beginning, because similar to what you described initially, that really turns you off when somebody was trying to sell you something. They didn't even know if it was for you. They were just talking to you and thought that because you were everybody was you, that they're going to try to sell it to you, that they're really focused in on exactly who they are wanting to serve and build those relationships. And I think follow-up is really key. I think one of the things that people do when they're in sales typically is that they are meeting somebody and ready to ask them to marry them when they first meet them. They're not dating their prospects or dating their leads, similar to what we do in a relationship. You didn't meet your husband or your significant other today and then married him tomorrow. You didn't do that. It was a process that you went about. You dated them, you interacted with them, you found out what they like, what they don't like. You got to know them a little bit better. You may have even introduced them to some of your friends, but it was a process that you went through that you developed over time. And I think that's what we need to have more in the sales process. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer, of course, but you're going to have to find ways that you can be in control and find the people that want what you have, doing more of a grassroots type of lead generation, so that you can have business now, and then you can also have business in the future. Because I'm a firm believer that you have to diversify your lead generation. You can't just rely on one source, like referrals. I've heard a lot of people in my community tell me that, their referrals are drying up. And the thing about it is referrals are very passive. So you're waiting for somebody to do something for you instead of going out and finding the people that want what you have. So that's when it's very imperative for you to know who wants what you have, similar to what I was telling you about Tara, that she knew the people that wanted what she had and she presented it to them. So then it wasn't, oh, well, I have to think about it, that kind of thing. This was something that she knew that they wanted. She did the market research. She understood who she was serving. And as a result of that, gave them what they want. The same thing is going to be needed for the folks that are actually in the sales profession. They need to find out who their target person is, find out what keeps them up at night, and then present them with solutions that will help them get to their desired promised land, while also nurturing the relationship when they're connecting with folks and not trying to marry them as soon as they end up talking to or meeting them.
So can you give some tips then to the person who's listening and saying, okay, I think maybe I am trying to rush to marriage and I'm not even sure how to date, these prospects, how to stay in connection with them, really show I care about them. Like, what would you say would be a great process for them to follow?
Yeah, so it's all about providing value. And I think the more that you connect and talk to the person is how you're going to figure out what they value. And it's not going to be something that's going to work for everybody across the board. That's when the uniqueness and connection is really going to come into play. So for instance, you may have someone that you met and you guys have commonalities. Like, for example, I love shoes. So maybe I connect with somebody and the person that I connect with, she has some great shoes and she loves shoes too. So instead of talking to her about my product or service, maybe I share a sale. Girl, these shoes are on sale. I just found out they're on sale and that sale ends on Friday. Why don't you go and check that out? So you're providing value based on what their need or their desire or their interest is. So then it's not, you're just only coming to them to talk about your product or service. So again, it's truly like dating. You're really getting to know them, finding out what things that they like, what things how you can serve them, because it's really about service. The sale, I want everyone that's listening to this, I really want you to understand that it's important for you to serve your prospect or your client more so than sell them. Because if you're if you're serving them, they're going to feel seen. They're going to feel understood. They're going to feel heard. And as a result of that, they're going to give you their business and then tell everybody about you because you showed them that you cared. You weren't just trying to sell the product or service that you're behind.
Right. Can you maybe give an example of how someone would use the framework that you created to help improve their relationships and in the long run, then the business outcomes that they are achieving?
I'll give you an example. One of the things that I've actually loved to do that has really helped my fellow introverted entrepreneur is to have what I call the perfect icebreaker, which is a survey where people can genuinely connect and fill out the information and tell you exactly what they're feeling about the different situation. And that you do it in a way that allows you to provide value. So when you ask this person to fill out the survey, you're kind of figuring out what are the things that they want, what are the things that they desire. And as a result of that, give them the things that they want. And you don't have to be in a sales type of situation where you're just kind of rattling off the questions, because I just told you, we don't like the small talk, but you're doing it in a way that provides you with information. It'll also give you content that will allow you to attract that same person that has the same type of problem or issue to you, in addition to providing value added services that they may need. For example, if somebody is a realtor and you have people with school age kids, they're going to be really concerned about the school system that they are actually going to be moving into. So when you're talking about the house, maybe you can tell them, you can tell them, okay, this is the school system that you're in, and this is how the school system is ranked. That's going to be valuable information for that particular person. And they're going to just look at you in a different light, that you went above and beyond just selling the house. So it's those kind of things that you want to kind of think about when you're interacting with your client or your customer, to find out exactly what's on their mind, what's keeping them up at night, what do they care about, and then going above and beyond what you would normally do to give them that information.
Right. So if someone wants to do a survey then and use that information, do you recommend, sharing that on social media, or maybe if they have an email list, they would send that out, although their email list maybe is already customers, but how would they get the survey out into the world, basically, to get the information that they're searching for?
Right. So the great thing about the survey is most of the survey can be a link. It can be a paper copy that you could fill
Mm.
out, or it could be a link that you could show them a QR code. You could send the link via the DM. You can see a link in an email. You can see in a link in a text. So links are very mobile that they allow you to interact in different modes of communication where you could get the information. And then as a value add, you could use that in a blog that could help you with your SEO. You could also
Mhm.
use that in maybe a newsletter, or even if you're writing for different magazines like I have done in the past, you can actually use that as a means to attract more people to you because you're providing them with the value based on what someone else said they were interested in. So it's all
Right.
around. It's just a win-win-win, just full of value that's going to help you attract the person that you're looking for. And then
Mhm.
have those raving cheerleaders and fans to find more people like them to come into your world.
Mhm. And if someone has a type of product or service that you only buy once in a, great while, like real estate is a great example too, where someone,
Right.
buys a home and maybe they're not, moving for another 7 or 10 years or something, but you want to maintain relationships so that they could also refer, or maybe someday, when they're changing their life situation, they're coming back to you. Like, what would you say about how they can maintain those relationships over such a long period of time?
Right. So that's when you again be a human. I mean, these people
Mhm.
are going to have anniversaries, they're going to have birthdays. We have the holidays that come around to keep in contact with them, to actually connect with them, make sure things are
Mhm.
going well. Also, to provide a service like if they need maintenance on their home, that maybe you're the go to person for that maintenance that they need. So you're still keeping in contact with them while you're still serving them over time. So
Mhm.
it's just a matter of being creative and really kind of thinking about what do they need, how can I really truly show them that they're understood, and those are the ways that we can do it, by providing services above and beyond what we already provide, to
Mhm.
build that connection and relationship over time.
Right. And you talked about how you help introverts as well. And I know introverts a lot of times have a hard time putting themselves out there and sharing information and really connecting and being able to talk and ask those questions sometimes, So do you have any tips specifically for someone who may feel, well, I'm introverted and it's hard for me to really get out there and, talk to people and build those relationships?
Right. So the one thing that I like, or really I recommend that introverts do, because as a fellow introvert, I know that we are very passionate about the things that we're passionate about, and that even though we're introverted, if it's a topic that we are really concerned about and we show true value for, we're going to speak on it.
Hmm.
So finding those areas where you're passionate and connecting with people where you have commonalities with them, and base the relationships on the commonalities more so than focusing on the sale. So it's again, like I had mentioned, the shoe situation, or you play a sport. I know I used to play volleyball. So when I had moved
Hmm.
to a new city, that was one of the first things I did. I wanted to find somewhere where I could play volleyball. So I connected with people just for the mere fact that we love volleyball. And oh, by the way, I was able to build relationships with them. So then I could connect with them and talk about my product or service. But it wasn't
Hmm.
being salesy. It was just
Right.
we had a common connection, and I found that common connection and then was able to connect with them.
Hmm.
There are going to be times when you're going to have to step out. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys that are introverts. You're not going to be able to sit on your hands and just be quiet. You will have to have those times where you get out of your comfort zone and talk to people that you don't know. How do you do that? First and foremost, you prepare. You want to make sure that you're going to an event, you know more about the event, you know about the people that are going to be there, and maybe come up with some creative ways where you can actually talk to the people, similar to the commonality thing that I was just mentioning. Does that mean you have to talk to everybody in the room? No. But you can make some meaningful connections by just picking a couple of people that for whatever reason you saw that they were maybe somebody that had on a blue jacket. You went and talked to them about the blue jacket and was able to make a connection with them that way. Another big thing that I wanted to tell you as an introvert that's really, really important is that power of the pause. And why do I say that? Is because we recharge when we're by ourselves.
Hmm.
Extroverts recharge when they're with people. So when you have a networking event that you're exuding all of this social energy to connect and talk to people, you have to make it a point to give yourself time to rejuvenate yourself by yourself. So, for instance, if you are doing virtual networking meetings and you really want to get yourself out there, make sure you're putting time in between the networking meetings that really allow you to recharge. Maybe go take a walk where you can recharge, or read a book in between the time that you would go to the next networking meeting. But having that time to recharge is really going to help you in that recharge your social battery. And then making sure that you're present in the moment that you're in, that you take the time to really truly be present, not be thinking about something else or trying to create something else, but truly be in the space that you're in and connect with the people that you're connecting with. Not that you have to talk to a whole bunch of people. Maybe you decide you're going to connect with 3 people and really make a genuine, really good connection that you can further build that relationship later on, knowing that you don't have to stay with them all night. You're just making a connection, and then you can further date that lead later on when you guys maybe connect for coffee, where you can, maybe talk about your kids. Maybe your kids play the same sport, or maybe you're a girl mom, or maybe you're a boy mom and you have that in common with somebody else. Those are the type of things that you definitely want to do so you can further expand and grow your business or your sales organization, like you had mentioned, if somebody's in corporate and then sales.
Right. I think just giving the permission to say, you don't have to try to talk to a lot of people. You can talk to, maybe 2 or 3, but that also helps you build a deeper relationship instead of just barely talking to someone and moving on, right? You actually get to know them better, which I think is actually a better way to do it. I'm an introvert myself too. And so anytime I'm going to an event too, I'm not trying to meet everyone in the room. I might talk to 2 or 3 people and, get to know them a little bit more. And then in the future, if we run into each other at another event, we could pick up where we left off and, continue that. And, and that's usually more on business contacts too, who in the long run could be someone who knows someone, so it doesn't even mean they have to be the right target, per se. But for me, that's what I do, is go to these events to build relationships with those who are in business, and I might be able to refer to them too. So the more I know about them, the more that I could be a resource as well. So, but I love just going and talking to a couple and not feeling pressure to have to meet a lot of people. So.
For sure.
Well, I know we're coming close to the time that we have for today's episode. It will be ending very soon. So I wanted to ask, do you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners? And if they want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, so first and foremost, if they want to connect, they can go to my website. It's ingafay.com. That's INGA, F as in Frank, AY.com. And on my website, all of my social media handles are there. I can tell you my social media happy place is LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that probably would definitely be the place to connect. However, I'm still on Facebook and YouTube, as well as TikTok and Instagram. Also, the offer that I want to share with you, it would be to kind of take me up on my offer and create that survey. I know I've helped many people meet their desired person or persons through the survey and really be able to filter versus convince the people that they're connecting with that their product or service is the best thing since sliced bread. So if you're interested in learning exactly how to do that, I do have a survey guide on my website that you can get access to. It is a free guide that kind of walks you through some things that you can kind of think about. And in addition to that, you also will have access to my DIY course, that if you really want to cut the learning curve and create a survey in less than an hour, you can do that as well. So that would definitely be how you can connect with me. Again, that's ingafay.com. That's INGA, F as in Frank, AY.com for socials, as well as that survey guide that I shared.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Inga, for being a guest on my show. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed the discussion we had today.
Yes, thanks for having me, Candy. Happy to be here.
And to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to the exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, Would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.